Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is the United States is actually waging war on Russia. We are kicking sand at the feet of the Russian bear, which just happens to be what prophecy says destroys America in 1 hour. I don't think it's the Christians that are doing this, and I don't think it's the non-Christians. I think it's the Moloch and high places that are actually causing the Russians to grow angry, just as Dmitry Duduman was told back in 1984, 5, 6, somewhere in there, when he told the Russian bear would continually get angry. All right, now, yes, we're asking everyone to join Prophecy Club. Prophet Jason Meeks had a dream. He said if you want a Prophecy Club to make it through the trouble ahead, it's important to have everybody actually join. In other words, if you're watching Prophecy Club, we ask you to become a part of Prophecy Club. Only $9.90 a month, or of course more, heavy on the more. And it's easy to do. Yes, you can go to prophecyclub.com, or you see that little QR code right below that arrow. Okay, right here. Let me show you, right here. Okay, just aim your cell phone at that. Like, and take a picture of that QR code, but don't push the button. And a little yellow box pops up. You touch that yellow box, and boom, takes you over there, and you can become a member of the Prophecy Club. Here's an update on the Berkey. As of this moment, it still looks like Berkey is going to be no more. We are, at this point, not only totally out of stock, but we have almost placed orders for everything we have coming. I am told that what is coming is Berkey Royals and extra filters. We are waiting on orders, and I'm told that we have 40 more Berkey Royals that are not sold yet, and we have 14 more filters. Now, here's the problem. If you got a Berkey unit and your filters that typically only last about a year or two, if they get dirty, then you're going to need more filters. And the problem is there's people out there that sell replacement filters, but they're not any good. That's the problem. So if you want a genuine Berkey filter that really does the job, we got 14 more heading this way. We do expect that probably now that I just mentioned we got 14 more and 40 more Berkey Royals heading our way that are still available, we probably will be sold out of those in a day or two. Delivery is going to be 3 to 5 weeks. Now here's the problem. We can buy more, but we can't buy more, because all of our money is tied up. We have to prepay the orders. When we place the order, we have to prepay. You understand that, okay? They require that of everybody. And so the problem is all of our money is tied up in orders for a product that is not going to be here for 3 to 5 weeks. So what I'm asking you for is, if God has blessed you, you can help us with an extra large donation. What we're going to do with that donation is buy more Berkey merchandise before it's all gone. They still have some, not in this local warehouse, but they're getting more. Now, they're not able to manufacture anymore. That's been stopped of no fault of their own. They didn't do anything wrong. Problem is, I think that there's another big bad bug coming our way, and they know that Berkey is the solution to that. So in advance, they're trying to shut down the solution. There's going to be a big fight over it. Hopefully, Berkey and the good guys win. But anyway, so I need your help. If God has blessed you, you can send us a pretty sizable donation. What we're going to do with that is turn around and buy more Berkeys and filters that Berkey will let us buy. So, yes, we do need your help. Okay, here's a brief review before we get to the big point today. As you recall, Vicki Parnell was shown in a vision, I believe it was. She saw Kim and Putin talking. And Kim said, or actually Putin said, "I like your style, Kim. By all means, join in the fun. You could be given a slot on the third, what we believe now to be the third round of missile attacks." Kim Jong-un's face broke into a huge smile. He began laughing, a horrible laugh. Putin joins in. I see both laughing. Kim Jong-un says, "Then Vladimir Putin, we shall join your." Let me back up. Kim Jong-un says, to Putin. Then, Vladimir Putin, we shall join your coalition. Thank you for your generous offer and for all the prior technology and weaponry that Russia has been so willing to help us with. Now, that's saying that North Korea has now agreed to be part of the coalition of nations that are going to be attacking America. You remember, Dmitry was told that the fall of America will start with an internal revolution in America, started by the communists. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and two of the countries I cannot remember. Well, now we know at least one of those nations is North Korea. We also believe from Isaiah 13:10 that one of them will also be Iraq, and there may be others. All right, now, this is what Vicki Goforth Parnell was shown would be the first strike. These are, we know where the nuclear bombs are going to land. That's the first strike. Then here's the submarines that attack next and where their bombs land. So Putin and Kim have made an agreement, according to Vicki, and I think she's right. Then North Korea strikes in the third round, and this is where their strikes hit. Then Putin then launches the second strike. This is where those land. So if you put it all together, you can see America is destroyed in 1 hour, just like the scriptures say. Hal Turner says, Russian foreign minister says, U.S. is waging war on Russia, and I like what he says, so I'm going to read most of his article on here today. Washington's massive campaign to support Ukraine with arms amounts to a war against Russia. I think he's right. So Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said, adding that the U.S. has long groomed Kyiv for this very purpose. That's what Vicki was told, is that this is actually part of the plan to weaken America, to get us to send our money and our weapons over to be used in Ukraine against Russia, but to use up our weapons. Now, have you heard about any mass orders of additional weapons since we've been sending them? Have you heard of America asking for more people to donate to America so they can send, what is it, $38 billion or something like that, some crazy amount? In a comment to Russian Reporter released on Sunday, Lavrov suggested that rumors about Washington publicly giving the green light to the delivery of the ATMCS systems, which apparently is a long-range system, were aimed at shaping public opinion. According to the minister, these deliberations would not change the fact that here it is, for many years Ukraine had been groomed to fight on its hands and bodies in order to inflict a strategic defeat on Russia. Lavrov accused the U.S. of controlling hostilities between Kyiv and Moscow. Now, we've been told that, I think it was Hal Turner told us, that we were behind the overthrow of the president before it was Zelensky. In other words, that's what we do, this evil nation of ours. So this is actually all part of Lucifer's plan to destroy America, and God is allowing it because the Christians have turned from Jesus. In recent weeks, several Western media outlets have reported that the administration of the U.S. President Joe Biden is edging closer to approving deliveries of these advanced weapons. In other words, he is doing everything he can to make the bear angry at us. I would say it's more than just kicking sand at the feet of the bear at this point. We're reaching across the line in the sand and kicking the bear in his shins. Ukraine has already received long-range missiles from UK and France, so UK and France are definitely in the fight, which according to local officials have been used to attack civilian targets and infrastructure in Russia's Crimean Peninsula and Donbass. So, UK, France, and America have already been kicking the bear. It's not just kicking sand on the bear's feet, it's now kicking the bear. Now, Hal Turner gives his opinion, and I don't think he's ever heard of Dmitry. I don't think he listens to Prophecy Club, but what he says here is exactly right. It's a confirming voice to what we've been saying for 40 years. I was reluctant to report these remarks by the Russian foreign minister for one simple reason. If the Russian foreign minister is now publicly accusing the U.S. of, quote, controlling the hostilities between Kyiv and Moscow, unquote, and publicly saying the U.S. efforts for Ukraine amount to, quote, the U.S. waging war on Russia, and I believe he's right, then the only logical conclusion that I can come to over such remarks is that, and here it is, the point of the broadcast, at some point, Russia is going to strike the United States. I'll say it again. The only logical conclusion we can come to is at some point, Russia is going to strike the United States. Now, I think it's interesting that Howard Turner knows this, and I think it's also interesting that Fox News doesn't know this. As a matter of fact, Fox News, in my opinion, has become one of the worst news sources out there. I cannot say enough bad about most of the news that I get from Fox News. So, I think I've said enough of that. I think that you should seek alternative news sources, ones like maybe Prophecy Club. Now, the mental weaklings of a society respond to such a thing as impossible. In their little minds, the United States is so powerful that Russia, quote, wouldn't dare. In my view, those people are wrong. As I've told you many times, I play racquetball. And I don't often get in conversations about America, but once in a while I will. And once in a while, I've been in conversations where I can ask the big question. And yes, if they love Jesus, but I'm talking about the second big question. That is, do you think Russia will ever attack America? If you ask people that question, oh, no, never happened. Never. Do you think that nuclear weapons will ever be used? No, never. Do you think there's ever going to be a big war like World War? No. They absolutely do not believe nothing bad is coming. Well, why should they believe others? Because Fox News tells them everything is okay. Of course, you know all the communist news, CNN and all that sort of stuff. And then they go to church, and does their pastor tell them any different? Well, no, you might wake up the sheeple. He goes on to say the reason they're wrong is because Russia sees the ongoing Ukraine conflict as an existential threat. In other words, Russia sees what America is doing through Ukraine to Russia as an attack to totally destroy Russia. Now, that's the way Russia looks at it. They're correct in such an assessment. Want proof? Back in April, I reported to you that Europe had revealed a map, this is important, a map showing its plans to break Russia up into 43 separate countries. I'll read that again. Back in April, Europe released a map showing its plans to break Russia up into 43 separate countries. Okay, now let's put the shoe on the other foot. What would we think if Russia were to release a map that split America half to Mexico and half to Canada? What would we think of that? We would be very concerned about that. Let's go on. Here's Gunther Fehlinger, head of the Australian non-governmental organization connected to the United Nations, showing the West's map of a world without Russia. Now, I'm going to show you the map, but I want you to take just a second and look carefully at it. Matter of fact, let's look even closer at it. Okay, so this is where Russia is today, and they're showing Russia gone. Matter of fact, they're showing a lot of these other nations over here split up and changed, but the main thing, we're seeing that Russia is totally gone. I think that would offend America if Russia were to release a map showing that half of America had been given to Mexico and half given to Canada. I think that we could very well say that is a threat of war. The revelation of this map is literal proof that it is the actual intention of the West to do away with Russia. I'm going to read that again. Let that soak in. The revelation of this map is literal proof that it is the actual intention of the West to do away with Russia. So, when Russia attacks and destroys America in 1 hour, what can they say? Say, wait a minute, they attacked us first. Well, we haven't attacked Russia. Oh, yes, we have. By even manufacturing such a map, the West has shown its intent. Russia now faces an actual existential threat. Their very existence is at stake. Think about the time and effort that was necessary to research and to put this map together. Populations, ethnicities in each of these areas, where they are, and how to draw the actual lines along the geography, the demographics. In other words, it took years of research to put this map together. Not an accident. And when they released this is really, really serious stuff. The mental weaklings who say Russia would never dare to attack America are wrong. He says Russia may, in fact, decide it has no choice. If it's going to survive, it has to attack America. Thus, the remarks by Russia's Foreign Minister Lavrov over the weekend are building a case for a massive Russian strike at the U.S. I'm going to read that again. The remarks by Russia's Foreign Minister Lavrov over this weekend are building a case for a massive Russian strike at the United States. Lavrov's public remarks are, quote, building a record for Russian posterity. Step by step, the United States has escalated the Russian-Ukraine fight. Step by step, the U.S. and the NATO vassals continue to escalate. Well, while the West is doing its thing, Russia is systematically building an open, public, historical record of America attacking it. So it can say to the world, wait a minute, we didn't start this. They started it. All we did was finish it. All we did was protect ourselves. Now, let me show you in the scriptures where it's talking about this. So Jeremiah 50, verse 7. All that found them, talking about the people killed in America, have devoured them, and their adversaries say, this is the Russians. We offend not, because they have sinned against the Lord, the habitation of justice, even the Lord, the hope of their fathers. Now, this is God speaking to Americans. Remove out of the midst of Babylon, and go forth out of the land of the Chaldeans, and I won't explain that right now, but it's still talking about America, and be as the he-goats before the flocks. Now, he-goats are very aggressive. So he's saying, leave America quickly and aggressively when the time comes. Time's not yet. For lo, I will raise up and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations. From the north country will go up north of America, you hear Canada. Keep going north and you hear Russia. From the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and now North Korea. So it's an assembly of great nations. They've set themselves in array. In other words, there's a plan to defeat America in 1 day, 1 hour. Such great riches will come to naught. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows, or missiles, shall be as a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. Why? Because they have GPS guidance that is not associated with our GPS system. We can't stop it. On the other hand, the Russians have already defeated our GPS system. Because you were glad, because you rejoiced, O America, this is what he's saying, O you destroyers of mine heritage, so America will turn against Israel. Because you are grown fat as the heifer at grass, and bellow as bulls. In other words, if you go to Revelation 18, it says, for she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in 1 day, death, mourning, and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord God who judgeth her. Now let's go on, back to the article. When a man like Sergei Lavrov utters the words he spoke over the weekend, it is as serious as a heart attack. I will preface my further remarks by admitting I very much admire Foreign Minister Lavrov. In my view, he is the single most competent, most skilled foreign minister on the entire planet. He says that what he means, and more importantly, he means what he says. In other words, you should be listening to him. You never once hear the Russian foreign minister walking back anything Lavrov says. You never once hear the Russian government having to clarify what Lavrov said. That Lavrov has now said the U.S. is controlling the conflict between Moscow and Kyiv, lays actual involvement and responsibility for a future war, a future attack on America on the U.S. lap. Did you catch that? He's saying that America is egging on a war, trying to get Russia to attack America. And Hal Turner, for one, respects the guy and believes he's telling the truth. Now let's go on. Closer and closer, we seem to be coming to the moment when Russia attacks. I say it again. Closer and closer, we seem to be coming to the moment when Russia strikes. Again, I don't think he follows Prophecy Club. And I'm pretty sure he's never heard of Dmitry Duduman. He's gleaning this from his intelligence sources. And in this case, I think he's right. None of us will ever be able to say we weren't warned. We have been warned. God has warned us, and now here the intelligence community is warning us. Most important news says they are openly admitting that we are on the brink of a final war. What final war? That would be Armageddon. Most Americans have absolutely no idea how close we are to the unthinkable, in other words, a nuclear war. Even though leaders all over the globe have developed a really bad case for war fever, the vast majority of us here in the United States are entirely convinced that everything will be okay somehow. Most of us believe the talking heads on television when they assure us that our politicians has everything under control and that it is extremely unlikely that a nuclear conflict will ever happen. But on the other side of the globe, they see things very differently. On Tuesday, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky told the United States that the world is being pushed to the brink of final war. That would be Armageddon. We are literally on the verge of an apocalyptic global conflict in which billions of people could die. But during his speech, Zelensky said, has absolutely no intention of ever negotiating with Vladimir Putin, says the Russians also believe that we are rapidly approaching a point of no return. Sergei Lavrov publicly stated that the U.S. is conducting a war against Russia. The U.S. is conducting a war. Russia is saying we're already attacking them. Washington's massive campaign to support Ukraine with arms amounts to war against Russia. Nobody's listening. Most Americans cannot say that we are at war with Russia at this moment. There's constant talk on Russian television of it, though, how the U.S. and Russia are now locked in an existential conflict, which will only have one eventual winner, meaning the one that strikes first. And the Russians do not plan on losing. Joe Biden, however, when he talked to the United Nations, he reaffirmed the U.S. support for the war in Ukraine. So what he's saying is we're going to continue to attack Russia through Ukraine. We're going to continue to egg on war. Then we go to Leo Hohmann. Watch, he says, Mike Pence outs himself as servant of the neocon, warmongering, Luciferian deep state. Mike Pence has quickly become the most unlikable politician in America. He says if Ukraine can't deliver a bloody nose to Russia, the U.S. will need to step in and send troops to join the fight, thereby ensuring Russia's defeat. Did you hear that? This is the guy that used to be vice president saying that we need to give Russia a bloody nose. Do you think Russia is listening? You better know they are. And they're listening with their finger on a button that is bigger and more powerful than anything America has. And it has God's endorsement to attack and defeat America in 1 day and 1 hour. So great riches will come tonight. He says this sounds like a recipe for nuclear war, but no one's listening. North Korean leader as further proof. Kim Jong-un was gifted a bulletproof vest and drones as he left Russia. Why? because I think it's confirmation that Vicki was told accurately that he has agreed to join the coalition to attack and defeat America. North Korean Kim Jong-un received body armor and drones as parting gifts to Russia, raising responsibility that North Korea could provide Russia with weaponry to aid its invasion of Ukraine. Kim inspected warplanes, toured an airfield, and visited a Pacific Fleet frigate. Does that sound like they're just having a friendly dinner together? Having a drink or two? No. It sounds to me like Kim truly shook hands and has agreed to join the fight with Russia against America. North Korea is heavily sanctioned and needs everything from energy and food to military technology. And as Kim left, the governor of the Far Eastern region gave him a bulletproof vest and a set of drones. He says this body armor will be with protection zones for the highest chest, shoulders, throat, and groin, and it is much lighter than its known analogs. In other words, Russia has better technology, better war machine than America. Kim was also presented with 5 attack drones, as well as Geranium-25 aircraft-type reconnaissance drone, and special clothing that is invisible to thermal imaging cameras was an additional gift. Okay, so they're giving him war gifts, and this is in the open. What have they been giving him over the last couple of years? And now that he's agreed to be a part of the battle, they'll probably be giving him a lot more. Biden, U.S. to work for Israeli normalization in 2 states. So in the meantime, while the Russians and the North Koreans are building up the war machine, Biden, well, he's concerned with splitting Israel. That'll get God angry and cause God to send us a big shaking, a New Madrid fault. Split the Great Lakes all the way down to the United States. While we're concerned about who's heading to the Super Bowl and who's going to win, what is it, the new American Idol, America's Got Talent, we're being entertained while our nation is being prepared to be destroyed. Get yourself prepared. I thought this was real interesting. These 2 calves, were born, one the day before and one on September 25th of 2014, which just happens to be a Shemitah. A Shemitah means 7, like 2 means, or a couple means 2, or a dozen means 12. In Hebrew, Shemitah means 7. And so I believe the prophecy is saying that it started 7 years of plenty, followed by 7 years of famine. 7 years of plenty because the black and white cow has a perfect 7 on his forehead. The red cow has a scribbled 7 on his forehead. What are the chances both those cows are born within 24 hours and released to the public on the same day? I think it's of God saying 7 years of plenty started in 2014 and 7 years of famine started in 2021 and concludes to 2028. That's still in the ballpark. A lot of people think it's the tribulation. Now, that would mean that we are, at this point, in a famine. So what do? You do what Joseph did. The world lived off of bread. But in all the land of Egypt there was bread. The people cried to Pharaoh for bread. That's wheat. So the world lived off of wheat for 7 years, and I'm going to recommend you do the same thing. We have had 150 food sources destroyed the last 18 months. No arrests, we've had train derailments, China stopped container ships, threatening to stop all of them, Russia attacked Ukraine, breadbasket. I mean, our food is under attack. Klaus Schwab says you will own nothing but be happy. They're in the process of taking everything we own. This is a loaf of bread I actually cooked. I actually cooked this. And as a matter of fact, I've already had a slice of bread this morning. And I've noticed that as long as I have at least 1 slice a day, I feel okay. It's best if I have 2 slices, like 1 for breakfast, 1 for lunch. Even if I'm not hungry, it's not that I'm eating it for food or because I'm hungry, it's because my body demands it. So josephkitchen.com, they can point you to get the right wheat, all the wherewithal you need to make bread. One loaf cut into 14 slices. If you eat 2 slices a day, I find that about one loaf feeds one person per week. One slice breakfast, one slice dinner, better nutrition, long storage life, some 3,000 years, 10 minutes to make bread machine. The weakness is the electricity, but if you go to josephkitchen.com, they can show you how to solve all of those problems. So what is an EMP Shield device? It's a device you can put on your car and your house that in an EMP attack is supposed to stop the attack. And if you go to empshield.com and if you use the promo code prophecy, they give you a $50 discount. They also have videos up there, shows you how to install it on your car and your house and everything, and it's not difficult at all. I've got one of them right here. Red goes to red, black goes to black, green goes to the car, body of your car, and you just peel it off the back, stick it under there. Got another device that goes on your house. So not complicated. Take you about 10 minutes to put them in. So empshield.com, promo code is prophecy. Terry Saka, cornerstone asset metals.com. So why should people go online or call you today?
Seymour Hersh, an amazing investigative journalist, laid out the case that the United States is the one that blew up the Nord Stream pipelines, hurting our very own allies. That is a nation that is desperate because their currency is on the verge of losing reserve status. That's not good for a United States dollar, and why we better be protected.
Terry Saka, cornerstoneassetmetals.com. Give him a call or go online today. cornerstoneassetmetals.com.